Have you seen her?
What are you?
I don't know. If you come near my family, what have you done? Where is she? Where's my daughter?
At first glance, Bob appears to be an ordinary man who works at a lumber mill and lives in a small northern town. His daughter Ava and ex-wife Darlene reside far away from him. Their bond is tense. The girl has reached a problematic age where she acts strangely and pays no attention to her mother. Bob gets a call one day when he gets home from work. Darlene is upset about their daughter and wants him to talk to her. Bob, however, abruptly ends the call and requests to be forgotten. However, he is furious with Eva's actions and goes to a bar to decompress. There, he soon discovers a dealer. They cross paths later in the street. The young man informs him that Nelson, his boss, needs messengers. He recalls Bob from his NHL days, particularly a well-known fight Bob would prefer to forget. The man stifles the young man's excitement and makes a purchase. Bob, who is furious about the growing costs at work, goes to check on one of the crusher's broken blocks. As if he wants to walk into the blades, he approaches the machine and looks inside. A coworker's voice interrupts Bob's gloomy thoughts, and he gives up on the terrifying notion. Subsequently, Bob packs his bags, tells his boss he needs a few days off, and departs. However, he suddenly becomes very sick while traveling at night. His pickup veers off the road as he loses control due to excruciating pain. Bob, who is still barely conscious, phones Nelson before making his way to a roadside cafe. There, he instantly goes to the restroom, shocking the customers with his bleeding face. Overcoming pain, Bob cleans the blood from his bandaged hands before examining his side. His internal organs are visibly visible as it becomes apparent that a portion of his skin has turned invisible. Bob covers his wounds with towels and heads back to the dining area, where Nelson shows up shortly after. Since Bob is moving in the right direction, he will have to act as the dealer's courier in exchange for the dealer agreeing to tow and fix his pickup. Nelson acknowledges his skill at hockey and says he still plays his old games. He reaches out to offer assistance, but Bob ignores him and reluctantly accepts his offer to work as a courier. After bringing Bob home, Nelson visits a bear-frequented dump. This time, he instantly shoots and guts one of the animals. Nelson brings Bob a container containing the animal's organs early in the morning with the intention of selling them on the black market. Bob leaves the house with the pickup already fixed. In the late evening, he arrives at his ex-wife's residence. After letting Bob inside, Darlene tells him that Ava is spending the night at a friend's. Bob gets ready for Nelson's contact, who owns a repair shop in town, in the morning. That's when Eva shows up. She feels offended when her father declines to bring her along, even though she is glad to see him. When Bob arrives at the shop, the owner's staff searches him, but the owner knows the former hockey player. He cautions that dealing with Nelson can be risky and suggests planning for the future. Still, he gives the dealer the package, and observing Bob's pale appearance, he gives him a Chinese medicine he purchases from a nearby shop. Bob goes home later. Ava also observes that her father seems ill, but he dismisses it as a result of rib injuries sustained at work. Abruptly, the girl inquires about her grandfather's, Bob's father, long-dead diagnosis. The man tells how his father had some mental health issues and voluntarily left this life. Ava leaves for her friends after the talk, but not before stopping by a Chinese pharmacy. The vendor is really hospitable and even recommends seeing a doctor, who happens to be in the adjacent room. The vendor gives Ava herbal tea to help her skin, even though the girl declines to purchase anything. When Ava later gets together with her friends, they recommend taking a tour of an abandoned mental health facility. Ava is the one who is more determined than anyone else to go, even though her friend isn't interested. They flit about the eerie chambers, frightening one another with tales of near-death experiences. Ava admits that she never met her grandfather, who was a patient there before he passed away, before she was even born. She wants to discover his diagnosis and locate old records. After going down into the basement, the group is startled by a figure covered in a white sheet. But upon closer inspection, all that's there is a pile of rags. But in a panic, Eva's friend grabs her hand, pulls at her sleeve, and discovers a transparent hand. The girl flees from Eva after becoming even more terrified. Ava's parents talk about their time spent together, as well as some of her early mischievous moments, such as the time she was 6 years old and started school by herself. Darlene finds out in the morning that Ava did not spend the night at home. She starts looking for the girl with Bob and her friend, but she's not at the police station or the hospital. While Darlene heads to the station to file a report, Bob begins going through his daughter's possessions. Locating her phone, he peruses a conversation she had with friends regarding the upcoming trip. When the pair visits Ava's friend's house, her father informs them that their daughter isn't present.
Is Eva here?
Why, is she your kid again?
Can we talk to Amelia?
No.
Bob phones Nelson later and informs him that the delivery is going to be late. The dealer is not happy at all. Bob then locates Eva's friends.
Where's Eva?
Maybe she's dodging you, asshole.
Asshole!
Get off him, dear!
It's my dog!
When they behave provocatively, the man becomes unstable. A boy acknowledges they were at the mental health facility following an altercation. Bob understands that she sought information about her grandfather. Eva regains consciousness in an iron cage at the same moment. Her parents arrive at the mentally ill hospital by car and drive through the park, which is still operational. Bob fights with the security guards and passes out from excruciating pain as they attempt to stop them from entering. The head doctor emerges, who has fond memories of both Bob and his father. Since her husband is ill, she asks Darlene to leave him at the clinic. In the same hallway, Bob recalls himself as a young child. He later gets into a fight with the doctor, who describes his father's condition as a tragic accident because he witnessed it all firsthand. According to the woman, his father desired to pass away in order to conceal his illness from others. He felt terrible for his family. Bob recalls his father asking not to show him to his son right away.
Get him out of here! You can't see me like this!
She shielded the man, the doctor reminds him, but she was powerless to stop the sickness. She offers Bob a place to stay at the clinic and shows him his father's room, where he had been watching his son's life. Bob vehemently objects, saying that Ava needs him and that she will research his illness and give him all the care he needs. Still, they imprison him, but when he wakes up in the middle of the night, he discovers that the door is open, the path is clear, and there are several keys to the clinic doors on the bedside table. Bob gets dressed and walks out. When he gets home, Darlene isn't there, her friend is, and she's freaking out about the people who went missing. Nelson then calls Bob once more and begins to threaten him, going so far as to name his family, which pushes Bob over the edge. Darlene's friend overhears him swearing and informs him that girls in the town have been going missing for a while, demanding action. Once more, he visits her friend's house and succeeds in meeting her. The girl admits that she is aware of her friend's secret, that she and he are the same. She gives Ava the backpack she left behind. When Bob looks at it, he discovers a package containing Chinese tea in the same packaging that he got from Nelson's workshop owner. He approaches the man and inquires about the girls who went missing. The man feels hurt because, despite his illicit activity, he is a grandfather and a father who would never abduct someone. He describes the Chinese drugstore. Ava begins to cry as unidentified individuals examine her and probe her wounds. Bob locates the drugstore and informs the proprietor about his daughter's disappearance. The woman is terrified, but she's also scared, to be honest. Bob then spots Eva's bicycle in the shop's rear. When he takes off his hood, the woman is appalled to see his flesh melting away. She sees how similar the girl is to him. She looks toward the doctor's office as she tries to shield him. When Bob realizes this, he bolts in that direction, removing his clothes in the process. After making his way to the basement, he discovers the doctor and his helper and begins abusing them while pleading for his daughter's return. Then, from inside a cage, he hears Ava's voice calling to him. Ava gets scared when she sees her father's appearance, but Bob reassures her and opens the cage. Even though the doctor is able to injure him, Bob departs with his daughter. The seller gives him tea that will help Eva as a parting gift and tells them to run. When the father and daughter get home, Darlene starts helping right away. It transpires that she is aware of the father's secret and knows how to proceed. She was afraid for her daughter, so she was unable to confess to her. When Bob wakes up in the morning, he tells his daughter that he had to go because of his illness. Ava acknowledges that she stopped playing sports when she began experiencing these problems. Although she believed she was the only one experiencing this, it turns out that her grandfather and father were also invisible. Bob gets ready to leave later, even though Ava doesn't want him to. The man admits that his strength is ebbing from him and that everyone may soon discover his secret. As he bids Darlene farewell, Ava shows up at the doorway carrying her bags, planning to take her father home on her own. The mother agrees to let her go through tears. Dad and daughter started walking. Eva begins to ask questions along the way, and Bob acknowledges that following his childhood experiences. He left because he couldn't burden his family. The daughter vows to make up for whatever their relationship lacked. They soon reach the location where Nelson's new messenger is waiting. Bob realizes that his face is also starting to fade, but he still needs to meet him. The father leaves for the meeting while Eva fills the hole with foundation. After delivering the package and getting past his boss, he heads back to the car. They soon arrive at Bob's house, where the father gives Eva the tea he bought from the Chinese woman. While tending to her frail father, she prepares it. He reassures her that she can live here in peace because Northerners don't interfere with one another's personal matters. Nelson discovers he has been duped when he opens the package in the meantime. The dealer notices Eva when she is out shopping. Later, when the girl tries to comfort her nearly invisible father, he abruptly says that it's time for him to leave because he won't be able to complete his planned tasks later on. He's prepared to vanish at the sawmill as he had attempted to do before in spite of her protests. Bob abruptly stops while standing over the crusher after driving to the factory. Nelson suddenly bursts into his home armed. Despite Eva's claim that he sold her the house, he demands to know where Bob is and threatens her with a shotgun. The fact that Bob's possessions are still there makes the man realize it's not true. He chooses to vent his anger on his daughter after accusing Bob of being dishonest. Something knocks him away from Eva abruptly. The girl discovers that her father has returned and is using this, having completely vanished, to defeat the villain. Bob orders the dealer to leave his family alone. Bob kills him after misjudging his strength. He acknowledges that he will always be with his daughter and that he was unable to leave her a second time. A bear finds Nelson's body at the dump after they later dump it there. Eva purchases tinted glasses for herself, sits in the vacant car, and speaks with her father, who suggests that she take her magic tea because it will help. He acknowledges that he had surreptitiously followed her to school when she was 6 years old. Furthermore, he always believed that his father meant death since his father had told him that he did not want his son to see him in that way. Who, though, took him out of the mental health facility after that? Eva smiles and suggests speaking with her grandfather as soon as she remembers the white figure from the basement. With the seatbelt fastened, the father and daughter embark on their journey. Unusual Canadian horror film featuring a blend of action, thriller, and horror genres, along with a touch of sentimental drama, all set against the harsh backdrop of the North. Although the movie seems quite depressing at first, all of this captivates and forces one to watch it through to the very end.